Welcome to the 35th episode of Generation Gap Book Reviews. I'm Christy the Mom.
And I'm Lena the daughter.
In this episode, we are going to be reviewing The Lost Lieutenant by Erica Vetsch.
How'd you come across this book?
I read it for the first time 5 years ago.
5. I was 10.
Good for you. And I came across it one of two ways, and I don't know that I'll ever be able to figure out for sure which way. I got an ARC of it. So it's possible that I came across it by just finding it on NetGalley. The NetGalley website where I get most of my ARCs.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also possible that, because back then I was posting Top 10 Tuesday posts every Tuesday, or at least most Tuesdays, for there's this blog that puts out like topics for every Tuesday, and then a bunch of people will post about that topic and then share their link in one page, and then they all go around and,
Yay.
it's
Look at each other.
fun, but it gets to a point where you feel like it's only a matter of I'm supposed to go around and comment on everybody's, even if I don't really have anything to say, because they've commented on mine, even though they don't really have anything to say, and it's all just a bunch of shallow stuff. It was fun to fill out the list, but it got to a point where that was part of the kind of what made it tedious. But also, a lot of the lists, I would end up with the same few books on them, because at the time I'd only been reading seriously for a few years, and I just hadn't read enough to... Anyway, but back then when I was doing this, and I did this for maybe about a year, most Tuesdays for at least a year, there were sometimes I'd hear of books because somebody recommended them on their list, and every once in a while there would even be somebody who was like me, reading a lot of Christian books. So it's possible that I heard about this from there. Some of these people would also do ARCs, and then they might have mentioned it was an ARC, so I went and checked it out on NetGalley. I don't remember which. Either way, though, I did get an ARC of it. Anyway, the main male character's name is Evan, and he is recovering from an injury sustained in the war against Napoleon. Napoleon Bonaparte.
He pulled apart? Bonaparte?
His last name is Bonaparte.
I never knew that. Or at least I don't remember knowing that.
And he really just wants to get over his injuries and get back to the fighting. But it's not meant to be because, well, his injuries aren't great, but also during the course of sustaining these injuries, he saved somebody's life, and that life was a man who is the godson of the Prince Regent.
Wee-oo.
The Prince Regent is very thankful.
He's very enthusiastic.
And so he rewards Evan by making him an earl. Basically, there was an earldom that had been vacated for a while because the guy had died with no heirs.
Yeah.
And so he bestows this earldom upon Evan.
He's just like, I don't care if you don't want it. Have it.
No, he did not care.
He's just like...
Which, of course, means that Evan has responsibilities that he can't get back to the war. And then the female main character, her name is Diana. She's living a very unpleasant life. No. Her father is at least emotionally abusive, verbally abusive. Oh, no, he's physically abusive too.
I think he is, yeah.
And her brother is just terrible.
Yes.
And her father, pretty much his entire goal in life is to marry Diana off to somebody who he can strike a deal with to get at least part of her inheritance that he can't touch because it's from her grandmother on her mother's side.
Yes.
But then the Prince Regent upsets his plans too, because the Prince Regent basically insists that Evan, his new earl, marry Diana, who is also his goddaughter. Apparently he has a lot of godsons and goddaughters. And he doesn't really give them a choice. And what is it often said throughout this book? One does not say no to the Prince Regent.
Oh, really? I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's kind of a theme through the book. So here we have a marriage of convenience.
Yay!
And both of these people are bringing into the marriage some fairly heavy baggage and secrets.
As you do.
As they try to figure out how to navigate this new life. This new shared life.
It's a good
way
to put it.
Lena, what did you like about this book?
Romance, obviously. Slow burn. Plot was good. I was very intrigued by what was going on. Because it's not just romance. There's something going on in the background. It's lurking.
That's my favorite kind of romance. not not that there's something lurking in the background, but I mean it's not just about romance. My
Yeah.
favorite kind of romances are ones where the romance is
That's
not
why you
the
don't like
only
most
point of the book.
contemporary
That's
romances.
why I don't like a lot of contemporary romances. Some of them are still do this. Actually, some. Well, it's not just contemporary romance because plenty of historical romances can the romance can be basically the entire point of the book too. But the problem I have, one of the biggest problems I have with that is that so often the plot just seems really shallow because anything that happens is just a vehicle for the romance. And when
Oh.
we have
Mhm.
a solid plot that happens to have some romance, that's my preference.
Mhm.
I know it's not people that read romance, and I do like romance.
Mhm.
I like a good romance, but so many times romance where that's the main point of the book and there's not much of to the plot otherwise,
Yeah.
the romance is shallow because the author says, well, this is a romance book, so you know they're going to end up together, so I don't really have to do that much to make them like to give them chemistry and to make them actually no, it doesn't have to actually make sense to the reader that they can fall in love because it's romance. It's just what's expected, and I hate
Yeah.
that. I want it to make sense. I want to feel the romance in here. Anyway, so
Romance in the
so you
air.
felt that the romance played out well here.
Yeah.
I did too.
Slow burn.
Okay, and the plot,
I love slow burn.
because what I didn't mention this in the synopsis, but Evan is dealing with short-term
Time
memory
memory
loss,
loss.
specifically of the time that he got injured, and he knows there's
Yes.
something important he's forgetting, but he
But he
doesn't
can't
know what it
figure it
is.
out.
Yeah. And that's the intrigue and the
Yeah.
suspense. And then Diana,
Ooh.
she's got her own situation that is also intriguing, but it's not necessarily suspenseful. It's more
Mhm.
just how is she going to usurp her terrible, terrible father? Because even after she's married, he still is trying to control her.
Yeah. That's not
And
very good.
now, and that's where I feel like it's good because they both have like there's real stuff happening here, real lives are at stake, and it's immersive.
Yep.
Anything else you liked about it?
Well, characters.
Yeah,
They were very interesting.
well drawn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They were like, there was a lot about them where I'm just like, hmm. You
like
know?
like Evan in his he's just been a soldier,
Yeah.
and his dad's just like a poor country, whatever they called him, parishioner. No, that's the person that goes to church. What
Parson?
was poor country? Yeah, parson, I guess. And he's just in the military, and now he has to navigate the peerage and doesn't understand a lot of what they do, like how you
Yeah.
have this fancy house out in the country, and you have to maintain a royal apartment, so
Mhm.
that because at any given time the prince or whoever happens to be in, in charge of the country at that time could decide to visit your home,
It's
and
like,
you have to have an entire wing of the house ready for them at
yeah,
all
that's,
times. And he's like, this is such a waste of space, and he's right.
yeah.
And then Diana, one of the things that I really liked is like I feel like the author must have, okay, I need to make sure they have their own, like, not just distinct personality, because you can't really write an actual real well-rounded character in a fiction book without being tedious.
Yeah.
So you give them a point or two of interest that you make sure is well grounded. And I don't know about well grounded, I guess. You make sure you carry through, you keep up with.
Yeah.
And her thing about making lists and managing the
You
new house and
related with
everything.
that, didn't you?
I mean, dude, she had like a whole bunch of lists of what they needed to do to get this abandoned
Yeah.
earldom fixed up. And what did she have? She had a list of lists. She had a whole bunch of lists of everything they needed to fix
Uh,
with the house, staffing, and all that stuff. And she had a master list that she used to list all of her lists so that they wouldn't get.
it was pretty
I
funny.
mean, it's like, oh man, she's so made for spreadsheets. If she was, with
If
this,
she was in the
if she
modern
was in a
age.
modern age, she would be a spreadsheet user just like me.
that's so that's so
So
true.
yes, I definitely connected with her in that way quite a bit. Lena, is there anything you didn't like about this book?
I feel like I remember screaming at the book sometimes, not screaming, but like mentally screaming at the book, being like, "Why are you doing that?" But I don't know. Is that if that was I didn't like that about the book as more like I was engaged with
So
it.
I mentioned earlier about Diana making some not great choices, and the thing is, I wouldn't call that something I didn't like about the book because she has gone through trauma and some of her
Yeah,
bad choices are PTSD.
that's true.
Because
That's true.
not to spoil. I won't spoil anything, but some of what she does is not being completely open with her husband, her new
Mhm.
husband, but she doesn't really know him and she has no idea if he's going to be just like her dad and her brother
That's
or not.
true. I do remember that. Yeah, that was kind of why I was like, but then I think I do remember when I read it, I was like, God, I should step back because I'm like, well, I understand it
And
in a
I think about
way.
the point that you start to go, "Whoa, just tell him." Then
Mhm.
she sort of reminds you in some way
Yeah,
that her father hits her or would hit her and her well, I don't think her brother ever necessarily did anything against her
he was more
himself, but he
verbal.
was definitely not a good guy. And and then there was one particular scene that okay, so I've read this twice now.
Mhm.
The first time I read it, there was one particular scene that felt more contrived to me in a way that I was like, "Oh, really? Now this is just something to get between them in their new marriage, and it's kind of important. Like somebody needs to this needs to be brought to light." But apparently the second and it bothered me. I guess it just felt like it was. I guess I remember feeling like it wasn't necessary to happen this way. But when I read it again, I didn't notice that. It didn't bother
Mhm.
me at all. So in the end, I really can't say that I have any issues with this book, and it sounds like you really can't either.
Mm-mm.
So, what do you rate this book?
5 stars.
I mean, pretty silly for either of us to say anything other than 5 stars when we can't
Yeah, I
really say
know.
anything we didn't like about it. So yeah, I give it 5 stars too. I gave it 4.5 the first time I read it, apparently because of that one thing. I don't know. It's kind of silly. I gave it 5 stars now. I upped it.
5 stars.
And who do you recommend it to? I mean, it's
Like 13 and up.
probably pretty simple to just say fans
Um,
of Christian Regency romance.
that
No,
too.
well,
If you like
fan,
historical romance,
fans
that's a
of
big
Christian
plus.
romance. I don't think you have to be a fan of historical or Regency romance
Well, if you like it, I'm recommending it to people who like history and historical fiction
and historical fiction
too.
too. You don't necessarily have to be because of the fact that like we've both said the romance isn't in your face.
Mhm.
You don't necessarily have to be specifically a fan of romance to want to read this
No.
either. I think that
Yeah.
Christian historical.
Historical 13. I am not
You think
16.
13?
Yeah, probably. I read it when I was 13, I think. Around that age.
Really?
13 or 14.
13 is probably okay, but there's certainly nothing graphic or anything, but there are definitely
Oh.
themes of
I mean, I guess if you're sensitive to abuse, I wouldn't recommend that to you.
abuse, but also babies out of wedlock, not in a glorified way by any means. Is clearly not good. And a particular character who is very lustful
Ah.
and is essentially trying to get Diana into bed pretty much the whole book, but nothing graphic.
Yeah.
So 13 is, I think I would maybe say more like 14. But overall, if you're thinking about letting your teenage
Maybe read it
child read
first.
this, maybe just make sure that they're understanding of these
That
kinds of things.
too.
Again, nothing
Yeah.
graphic. And then
No.
actually it's always a concern of mine, especially if the first time I've read if I haven't read an author before
Mhm.
or read this kind of a book by an author, when there's a marriage of convenience, even in a Christian book,
Yeah.
that because they're married early in the book that the author will say, well, they're married, so it's okay for there to be physical relations that I describe in more detail than normal. No, I'm not okay with that. I don't need. That's not how it should be.
Mm-mm.
Yes, of course, let them do things, but you don't need to describe it to us. I've got some authors on my never read again list because of that. So again, some of them are even Christian authors, but I've also read plenty of marriage of convenience books by Christian authors that aren't like that. So,
Ah.
but and I just also should mention, marriage of convenience is probably my favorite romance trope.
It's one of mine too.
It's especially in Christian fiction because I think that's where it's gonna be done the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we close this out, this is the beginning of a series,
Oh.
and a series of series, in fact, that is still going. I've read everything that exists that she's written up till the most recent one, which I own it on my Kindle, and I'm planning to read it soon. This series is a trilogy. It's called Serendipity and Secrets. All three of the books are actually some sort of take on marriage of convenience. Then there's a continuation series that I didn't even know was continuation series until I started reading it, and one of the characters from this series was in it, and I was so happy.
It's her favorite. I think she fangirls over him a lot.
And that one is a different kind of trilogy, though. It's 3 books again, but it is not three. Like these are all three technically standalones, even though there's crossover of
Yeah.
characters. The second series, which is called Thorndyke and Swan Regency Mysteries, and it is three. It's another trilogy, and they're all mysteries, but they're a continuation, like the same two characters and the main characters in all three. Then the third series is called Of Cloaks and Daggers, which is
Yeah.
also, I believe, I've only read the first one and I can't remember it very well, but I'm pretty sure it's also basically mysteries, or at least sort of like a solving, like an investigative work is what both of the second and third series are about. And this one is also so far same two main characters but different stories.
Mhm.
There's one main thread throughout all of them that I'm not going to say anything about because it would spoil some stuff, I think. But since I reread Lost Lieutenant to help me remember for this podcast, and I've been wanting to do this anyway, I'm going to read through all of everything that exists again
Whew.
uh, over the course of the next, I don't know, however long it takes. I can't say for sure that we will review each one of them,
Yeah.
but I at least would want to I think I'd at least want to review the next couple.
The Gentleman Spy.
The rest of the Serendipity and Secrets because they are standalones, but also because The Gentleman Spy is my
Is
absolute favorite in this series, probably my favorite period,
God,
and
shut
has my
it.
absolute favorite character in the whole franchise. I probably will leave it up to you how many of these we continue to review, but I love them. I mean,
I would like to do at least Serendipity and Secrets.
Erica Vetsch is
Your
one of my
favorite
favorite authors at
authors.
this point, and because this series is, she wrote before this she wrote like westerns.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge American Wild West
Yeah.
time period reader. I have plans to read one of hers just because I like her. Anyway, I think that's it for this book.
Join us next time when we will be reviewing The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins.
Until next time, I'm Christy,
And I'm Lena.
and this is
Generation
Generation Gap
Gap
Book
Book
Reviews.
Reviews.